Hello everyone, today I'm going to be talking about sibling rivalry, and this is in my series of manners, etiquette, and behavior for children. Anything in this series I'm going to link below as a playlist in the description box. So let's get started talking about sibling rivalry. This is a big one. A lot of you guys reach out to me about this, and anyone who has 2 or more children know that sibling rivalry happens in every home. Whether it's in an extreme way or is in a very mild way, children always have arguments and conflicts and fights, and us as parents, we always have to find ways to manage this. And this is something that can cause so much stress, so much anguish, so much conflict in a home. And I really hope to be able to share with you some tips and ideas in this video. And so let's get started. The first thing you want to do is set up a family meeting. And in this family meeting, you want to meet with your children and you want to talk about what are the things that you guys mostly fight about. Let's talk about it. What are the things that so-and-so does that you don't like? And you want to start writing these things down. Every Sunday, we have a family meeting. And Sundays are a church day for us. We go worship our Creator, we go connect with our Creator, and we also have our family meetings. And in these family meetings, we talk about the good things and the bad things in the week. We talk about what happened during the week. Were there any conflicts? And why is this important? Because when we talk about the things that happen every week that have become trouble, and we talk about ways to solve it, this is going to mitigate for the next week. So the next week, now you know that, you know what, so-and-so didn't like that you did that. Let me give you guys an example, because we have 5 kids, you guys, and they're 10 and under. So recently, when we did our family meeting, we talked about what are the things that happened this week. And one of the things that came up was, you know what, so-and-so starts doing these farting noises that I don't like. And I don't want her to do that anymore. And so why is this important? Because we want to let other people know, you know what, these are the things that you do that bother me, and I don't want you to do them anymore. And that's going to help with sibling rivalry, because once siblings know what bother the other siblings, then they're going to not want to do that anymore. So once you set up your family meetings, then you want to start mitigating the problems. One of the main problems why siblings fight is because of sharing. So sharing is a big thing. So let's go ahead and talk about sharing. So in our home, we have 2 ways of, sorting things into 2 categories. We either have personal and community items. Personal item is something that's yours, that your mother gave to you for your birthday. Maybe you got a gift from grandmother, and this is something that belongs to you. It's usually in your bedroom, in a jar. It belongs to you. And in our home, we have a family rule in which you cannot touch someone else's belonging unless you ask for permission. We talked about how setting boundaries and limits for children is extremely important for behavior management, and I talked about that in my last video. I'll link that below in the description box. So that's something that you cannot just go and take someone else's belonging without asking, and we do give children consequences for doing things like that in our home. We talked about that in the last video. So we have personal items, and then we have community items. Community items are just things that everyone can use, that we share in the home. And for the kids, we have their blocks, their Legos. We have so many Legos that they all share. We have animals, like plastic animals. We have most of the toys are actually things that they all share together. And so whenever there's a conflict, it is really important to know, what was it? Was it a personal item or was it a community item? Because we treat those 2 things differently. And so, for example, let's go to the community item. Let's say a child decides, you know what, I want to use the blocks because I want to build a city. And I just had this idea of building this amazing city. And the child starts building it with their blocks. And then comes along sibling, brother or sister, and wants to play with the blocks. That's where a lot of conflicts come along, right? And so, in my home, I don't force children to share. I want my children to share from the bottom of their hearts because they find value in it. So one rule that we have with community items is that whoever is using that item first is in charge of that item. So if you're building a city of blocks and then your sister comes along, your sister or brother have to wait until you are done playing with that item. That is just how real life works as well. Because if you are in the workplace and your coworker's using a photocopier, you can't just go and, you know what, I want to use a photocopier right now. Excuse me, I'm going to use a photocopier. That's not real life, right? And that is exactly what I want to teach my children. So we have 3 suggestions for them whenever this comes along, this conflict. So we tell them, you can either share, you can give your sibling a few of the blocks, some of the blocks, and have them play. So this is, with the sharing, or you can have them come play with you, give them a role in your game, or have them play with you in one way or the other. So you could either share, you could trade. So we have the option of, you can trade. Maybe you have a younger sibling that wants to come take something that you're playing with. You may want to go get one of their toddler toys and give them that, and then move away from them so that they're not going to access you and your blocks. So you're either sharing, you're trading, or you're setting a timer. You're setting a time limit, okay? So how does that work? So I can say, you know what? I'm going to use these blocks for, let's say, 30 minutes, and then you can use them. Or I'm going to use these blocks for a few hours, and then you can use them. So you want to set a timer, you want to set a time frame for your usage. Sometimes my kids come and they say, you know what? I'm going to use these blocks or these Legos. I'm going to build something for a few days. I'm going to do it for the whole entire week. And that sibling has to respect that, because for that whole week, that child is working on that. And I make sure that no one is going to disturb that child that is working on that project. I really believe that that's where conflict comes along, where siblings don't respect each other's space. And when a sibling is working on something, it needs to be respected. And we need to teach younger siblings to respect our older, and the older also respect the young. It doesn't matter the age, but they need to respect each other's projects. And I take play as something serious. If someone is playing, I don't go interrupt them. I don't pull them away. I really respect the children's play, and I give them their space and their time for that. So in our house, we really talk about the golden rule, and this is something that if you ask my kids what the golden rule is, they will tell you what it is, because I really drew that in here. The golden rule is treat others the way that you would like to be treated. And so, I tell them the 3 things: you either share, you trade, or you set a timer, you set a time limit. But I want to encourage children to know that this is another human being that wants to play. And from the bottom of their hearts, I want them to be able to share from their own hearts, not because I'm forcing them to share. I'm not going to say, no, you got to share with him because he's your sibling. You got to share with him. That's not the way I do things. So, and when it comes to personal items, if a child goes up to another child and says, "Can I borrow your T-shirt for today?" and that sibling says, "No, I don't want to let you borrow it," I don't get involved with it. Later on, I'll come back and I'll say, I saw that so-and-so wanted to borrow your T-shirt, and I'll talk to that child and I'll tell them about the importance about sharing. I'll talk about, what does Jesus say in the Bible about sharing and about loving our brother. And I want my children to be able to do that from the bottom of their hearts, not because I, as a mom, as a tyrant, force them to share with their sibling. These are things that I want them to do on their own. So one of the main things is sharing. So we talked about sharing. We talked about personal items. We talked about community items and how to deal with that. The person, again, who chose the community item first has charge over that item and can choose to share, trade, or set a timer. Now let's talk about different things that also create sibling rivalry and problems with siblings. Now, again, yesterday in another video, I talked about there's different rules in our house that, we follow. There's boundaries, and if you break those rules, you will receive consequences for them. And there are things such as annoying people, for example, like poking people, doing loud sounds, annoying your sibling. That's something that we give children consequences for. You can't just go and do that to people here. You can't hit, you can't snatch, no name calling, no copying or mimicking. We give immediate consequences for that type of behavior, and that's not something that we see a lot in our home. We don't see a lot of that because right away we give a consequence and we let the consequence do the yelling. It's very important that you have boundaries in your house. Children can't cross those lines. When you see a child hit another child, you have to take immediate action and either take a privilege away, put that child on a pause and a timeout, give them a consequence, because that should not be tolerated in your house. When I see siblings hitting each other, it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. I think it happens because parents allow it and they don't give children consequences right from the beginning. So set these rules in your house where there's no hitting. There is no hitting, snatching, name calling, making annoying things to another child. Just that cannot be tolerated. And that is disrespect, and it should not be allowed in your household. So let's talk about other things. So children are constantly competing over resources. So let's talk about gifts now. When I go to the store and I determine, you know what, my 6-year-old, she needs socks. She needs socks, and I need to go get her some socks. And let's say all the kids come with me to the store. I'm not gonna get socks for all of the kids just because I'm getting socks for my 6-year-old. I'm gonna get socks for my 6-year-old because she needs socks. And I want my children to understand that there's no such thing as, you know, I get something for her, I'm gonna get something for all of you. No, that's not how things work. In this house, we get things according to need. And if you need something, you're gonna get something. Also, if it's someone's birthday, that doesn't mean that, you know, she's getting a birthday because she's getting a gift because it's her birthday. That doesn't mean that everyone else is getting a gift as well. That's not how things work around here. Let me give you guys an example. Once we gave a child a gift for an older child. We gave her a gift, and her younger sibling really loved that gift, but she really wasn't ready for it yet. It's not something that she can use. She was only 4. And this child would tantrum and cry over this toy. And we knew that it was driving the parents crazy that we gave this gift to the older child. And we knew that it was creating conflict in the family. We kind of felt bad about it, and we almost wanted to ask for it back because we saw that there was so much conflict. The parents felt that this was unfair, that they needed to get that younger child that gift that the older child had to make it even, to make it fair. And I think that that's the wrong message to send children. There are times when your older sibling is going to get a gift that you cannot have. This is how real life works, right? There are things that we see in the store, that we see that our neighbor has, that we can't particularly have because we either don't have the money for it at the moment or because we just can't have it. So teaching children that you can't have everything you want to have at that moment because your sibling have it is a very strong message to send, and it's going to help them in adult life. We want to teach children that not only because their sibling has it, they need to have it too. And they need to understand that. For example, like when I give my children their food, I have different plates, right? And my oldest child has more food than my youngest child because she eats more. She needs more nutrition. And so if my younger child tells me and complains, oh, you know, so-and-so has more food than me, I'm going to say, well, yes, she needs to have more food than you. And we're not going to argue that. You know, there's different needs for different children. And so it's really important to not try to just, you know, make everything fair and divide everything in little portions. You will drive yourself crazy as a parent. And you will not be teaching your child the life skill that you cannot have everything that someone has at that moment. And that's a very important message to send your children. There are some bonding activities that you can do to help siblings that have sibling rivalry issues. In our home, we like playing a little game called Baby. And what we do is everyone gets a turn to be a baby. And when this child is a baby, we will hold them, we'll swing them. We have this little pretend bottle and a pretend pacifier that we pretend to take care of this baby, and we're all playing, and we bring different toys out. And we pretend to nurture every single child as they play baby. So we love playing that. That's us. Other things that you can do for bonding activities. I know I have mainly girls in my house, but we do hairstyling. We'll look up a hairstyle and we'll all practice doing this particular hairstyle. We'll double up and do hairstyling. We'll do face painting. We'll do nail painting. Things that require the other person to take care of another person. Sometimes when I see that two children don't get along, I'll sometimes have them do a recipe together. I want you to make a cookie recipe. Here's the recipe. Let's work on it together. You're going to put the ingredients in and you're going to mix, and they work together. When you have activities that are working together, it's going to help those children work on that bond. We love playing tons of card games at home. We have so many card games that I could probably make a video about it because that's one of the favorite things that my children love doing here at home. We also love cooperative games. We have a lot of different board games that we use. One particular company that we like is Peaceable Kingdom. I'll link some of those below, where these are cooperative board games where you work together as a team to solve a problem. So we try to come up with games where we need each other's help to solve a problem. There's a lot of games like that. If you guys want, we can make a whole new video on cooperative games and games to help siblings bond. For example, we're learning some contra dancing right now, and that's a traditional dance and a traditional American dance where you have to dance with a couple and you have to do different things with your couple and then as a group together. So all of these things help siblings. It's really important to help children bond, to help them be able to connect with each other, because when they're able to connect with each other on that level, they're less likely to fight, to name call, to hit each other. It's really important that you teach children the importance of sharing and the importance of loving and the importance of kindness before conflicts arise. Don't try to address that when the conflict is happening. When you see that one sibling is not sharing a t-shirt with another, you don't want to jump in and be a referee and say, you got to share, you got to be more kind. That's not the time to do that. You have to do that beforehand. So beforehand, I like preparing my children, and I like to read books that talk about kindness and talk about the virtues and goodness and gentleness and faithfulness and all of these things, and I read stories. One of the books that I like using is the Book of Virtues and the Moral Compass. I'm going to be making a video on all of the literature resources and all of the resources that I use to help my children with molding their character and helping them prepare them for before conflicts even arise. Because that's really important as well. I observe them and I'm able to see, you know what, so-and-so really has a problem with sharing, and so I will find books and stories about sharing, and then I'll just read them throughout the day in our circle time, and I'll just read them, and then children are able to learn from these stories. Another important thing is role playing, and other people like to call it play therapy. So like if you see that there's a particular thing that you know your children are battling with, you might want to set up a play scenario where you play that out. You play the scenarios that are constantly being a source of battle in your home, and you have everyone act it out and give them the different choices that they can choose to solve this problem. This is really helpful. Play therapy has been a really great thing. We set up restaurant scenarios, we set up home scenarios with our pretend play items, and the children absolutely love it. And they have no idea that mom is setting up the scenarios to help them with the issues that they're dealing with. All right, you guys, I hope that you have enjoyed the video. I know sibling rivalry is tough. For us as parents, it's so hard to see our children fight and to see our children just argue and scream at each other, and it's nerve-wracking. And so I know how it feels, but always remember to keep your composure, stay calm, and I hope that these techniques have helped you. Come along in my series. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. If you want to see more videos like this, please let me know by giving it a thumbs up so that I know to make the next video, which is going to be the resources that I use for literature and other ways on how to mold character. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Until the next time. Bye-bye.